It's 6 o'clock. We're going to call this meeting to order of the Fayette County Council. And we're going to start off with having the Pledge of Allegiance, if everyone would stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. We're going to open our July 2nd, 2024 meeting of the Fayette County Council with a public hearing on the proposed public safety tax. And we're going to open it up for comments.
Hello, my name is Chad Rutberger, 8051 North County Road 550 West. I am the chief of the Bentonville Fire Department, and I'm also captain on the Connersville Fire Department. Been to several of the city council meetings and approaching you tonight to show support for the tax. I realize you guys, this meeting is nothing more than just a legal check mark. This was handed to you. You had no decision in this. But we are going to get the tax, and you do have a say-so in where your half goes. I've been told to 43%. So I would guess, I think the figures are a little short, but I'm guessing close to $500,000. So the volunteer fire departments, we have several people here today. We've been looked over for years and years and years. We didn't get a hold of any of the last tax. We got zero COVID money. Although we were out there, we were the ones in the pandemic. We got none of that. We are one of the only departments, volunteer-wise, in the surrounding counties that got nothing. Our township money's drying up, and we think we cover probably 90% of this county at least with the 3 volunteers. Several other counties around us, you know, Rush has, I think, 7 volunteers. Henry County has 17. Wayne County has 13. Franklin County has 9. We have 3. So we're covering a lot of area with a little bit of money. What we have a problem with is this is not a want. This is a need. This tax for us, we cannot get looked over this time. OSHA regulations are coming out. I've sent letters. I've been to meetings. I've sent emails. It's coming. OSHA's new regulations, and maybe somebody else will talk about this, is coming down the pike. It is now delayed. I got another email today. It's delayed to July 22nd. These OSHA regulations have not been updated for 30 plus years. There are mandates, there are laws. OSHA can come in to Bentonville Fire Department tomorrow, do an inspection. They can fine us, they can shut us down. We have certain things that we have to do. These new regulations, there's no way they are going to sink us. And how they sink us is our insurance comes and they do a risk analysis every year. We have insurance. We are considered employees because we have workman's comp. We do not get a dime volunteer-wise with our time. We still have a fuel to buy, equipment to buy, stations to turn the electric on. We have a huge need for money in that. By the time we pay all our bills, we have nothing left at the end. So what this insurance, when these laws pass, and it's going to pass. They've backed it up a couple times. We're kind of fighting it. Something's going to pass, and this goes for all departments. This goes for city department also. They're probably a little better shape. They're ahead of the game. But when they pass this, there's no way we can follow these rules. And what the insurances will do will come to us, and they'll say, hey, I've already got a book here and a few pages of stuff we need to improve on, and we try to do the best we can. But these new laws are going to say, if you don't do this, we're not going to insure you, because that's a liability for their insurance. When they don't insure us, we shut the door. Rather how much money we got or how many people we respond with, it doesn't matter. If we don't have insurance, and you're not going to find an insurance company to back you if you have a bunch of liabilities. Some of these things I wrote down, there is probably, I think it's a few 100-page document that this is coming out. Just a few things we have to keep up on. Our gear, 10 years on our gear. If our gear is past 10 years, it's gone. I don't care if it's used or not. 10-year date, it's gone. The new regulation is going to make you have 2 sets of gear. Because firefighter cancer rates are out the roof, the carcinogens, stuff in the smoke, the plastics, fires are different. they're making us get 2 sets of gear so we can be cleaning our first set. That's just one thing. Ladder testing every year, pump testing every year. Some of the new things they're doing, weekly fire inspections on the truck. Training hours are more than double. They are going to put a standard on training. Your officers have to have this, and this. They're estimating every firefighter to be about 175 more hours a year. We can't get people to join now, let alone we throw 175 more training hours on top of what they're already supposed to be doing. And the state has said that. The state will not let, I don't care if you're volunteer or not, get on a truck. You have to have hazmat operations awareness, firefighter 1 and firefighter 2 before you can even step on a truck, volunteer or not. We put a guy on that truck, he gets hurt, lawsuit, we're done. So that's killing us, with manpower and stuff. Another thing they threw on us, physicals. They want, volunteer or not, they want a physical on the firefighter every single year. That costs a lot of money for every firefighter. Tires, age on the tires. I think it's 7 years. Every apparatus we have is 7 years. If the tires past that, got to take them off, put new on. We go to a run, we blow a tire, we hit somebody and kill them, we're done. I mean, these things are almost impossible to stay up on. Air bottles have to have hydrostatic tested every 5 years. Air mask fit test. This goes on and on. I'll stop there, but we're doing the best we can to do the things they already had in line, let alone adding this new stuff will absolutely sink us. And I had a conversation with our insurance company today, and they're fighting it also, but if it goes through, and it's going to go through some form of it, they have to make us do it. If we don't do it, we're done. So what we're allocating is some of this money. We continue to get past that. I myself just set some numbers. I had it higher, I think 10%. We have got to have at least 10%. That's $50,000 for Bentonville. I'm talking 10% for each. That's a start. That is not going to cover these new regulations, but that is a big start. We can try. We get $5,000 from you all. That's all we get a year. We get some from our township trustees, which I've had conversations with them. That money's starting to dry up. If we lose our township trustees, again, we're done. We cannot function. We have a ton of events. Everton's probably better than this at anybody. They are king on putting on events and fundraisers. We have fish fries, breakfast. We bring a lot of different activities into the community, tractor pulls, demolition derbies, fishing tournaments, golf tournaments, and that looks good for the county, I think. That's a lot of stuff going on. And these volunteers are doing all this without any money. Everton had a big festival this last weekend. Bentonville's truck was at Walmart this weekend, spraying the kids for Riley Hospital. We do a ton in the community. I don't think it's too much to ask to get 10% of this. What you do with the rest of it is up to you. I think this tax is for emergency services. It's designed and meant for first responders, and I think that's what it needs to be used for. OSHA, I read through some of the stuff they had today. If you're a volunteer or combination department, they are estimating your budget is $1.7 million. We are not even this much of that. I mean, it's crazy what they're allocating and wanting us to do. So again, there's only 3 departments in here. I think Russ County's in the works. I don't know I think maybe Dale or somebody can say on that. I think they get $30,000. That's what they get from their tax at the end. And they got, I think, at least 7 departments. We have 3. I don't think this is too much to ask. If any of you want to come, I know about all of you, numbers, emails. I'll gladly give you tours of our fire stations, ask any questions, show you what we do. We cover, and I'm going with Bentonville, and I hope, I assume all of you know where Bentonville is. So 20th Street, everything from 20th Street in town, on both sides of town, we cover everything around this town. Around the airport, we go all the way to Union County line. We go to the Rush County line, the Henry County line, and the Wayne County line. That is Bentonville's area. And these other departments, everything Glenwood, have bigger areas than we have. So it's a rural area. We're probably the most rural. They're a little more populated. We cover 65 square miles in this county and not getting much for it. It's hard enough to recruit and to stay afloat. I'd hate to think, if these laws come through and insurance, you've got to be in the back of your head. If the 3 volunteer departments aren't here, what are you going to do? I don't know what you do. It would cost millions. You got to provide some kind of fire protection. So anyway, do any of you have any questions for me at all on? Yes, sir.
You referring to, you got left out on the last tax. What are you referring to? What last
Well,
tax did you get left out?
all the property taxes that's been raised, the COVID money, got nothing. We've not got anything in since I can remember. Bentonville's almost 60 years old. I don't think we cost you guys a dime in this county, a dime. We're providing a huge service. A volunteer fire department, you know, we're providing, you don't have to pay our wages, you don't have to pay our insurance, you don't have to, you know, upgrade our buildings. We buy our own equipment. We do everything to cover this county. Volunteer means we're giving our time for this because we love the community, we love the service, we love helping our neighbors. It doesn't mean that you don't have, you know, our money, fuel prices have, everybody knows, fuel prices have doubled, you know, everything has doubled. So our expenses are tight right now. Community is very good to us, and that's why we're surviving.
What is your, Chad, can you speak to your annual budget? Eric, can you speak to your annual budget? But your budgets are all different.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you've been, I know ever since you've been trying to get a truck forever, and since I've been on the department, we're trying to get a new rescue vehicle, and I mean, that's funded strictly through fundraisers or grants, and
Yep.
Yeah, it's like he says, as far as Everton, we do multiple fundraisers and everything. But our run volume, because we are more populated in our area, has almost doubled over the last few years. And we do cover 105 square miles is what Everton's first food response area is. Just like Mr. Ribberger said, they have a large area, we have a large area, Glenwood has a large area. And the economy is really hurting us with hikes and prices on everything. And when everything else increases, but your income does not on the fire department, it makes it very, very hard to manage. And with the new OSHA rules, like he said, it's going to make it very, very hard to manage. And it all comes down to protecting your community, firefighter safety, community safety, and that's what we're there for. We're a brotherhood. We respond together. We take care of each other, but we have to have some backing, like these taxes, to help us survive.
you also have that in rescue, it's just that no department has, including the city, right? The city's not picked that up yet, or talking to you.
They're not.
I mean, you're covering all of Brookville Lake area, Health and Liberty.
You know, with these other counties having, like Henry has 17 departments. Hopefully nothing happens to any of them, but if one goes down, you got 16 more. We've got 3, and we rely, I'm speaking for Bentonville, we rely on Everton and Glenwood on every single structure fire we have, and they do that. We need their manpower, we need their water. We call Connorsville out in, multiple times, close to town. They respond, you know, and when they respond, guess what? That leaves the city short. So then they have to, you know, but we work good together. I mean, that's what we need to do, is work together.
Sorry. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. You want to jump in? Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
All right, all right.
Give me a hard time.
All right. Mr. Bryant?
Yes.
I mean, you've got Everton,
Yes, sir.
right? And so I'd like to, Mr. Ripper said that they cover 20th Street North.
Yes.
From Union
Everything
to,
from 20th that way.
Union to Wayne to Rush County. What's your territory?
We cover up just shy of 400 north on kind of 400 north towards Union County line. We cover straight down the Union County line. We cover clear down to each Apollo. So the west side of Brookville Lake is pretty much our response. That's why we have the dive rescue team as well.
Right.
We cover the West Fork to the Whitewater River. The boundary kind of jumps around, but if you take Columbia, the four-way intersection in Columbia, the north-south part of it, it jogs just a little bit farther over, but you put us in Glenwood, us on the east side and Glenwood on the other side.
Yeah.
Then we come up to the edge of Connersville, up through 121 to the city limits. So like I said, everything comes around, but our actual miles is 105 square miles that we actually cover.
Okay. And so Glenwood's is anything other than those
Yes.
2 areas, right?
Yeah, we cover from the flashes on 44, clear to the county line, up to 500 north. Like I said, like Chess says, you know, all this is zigzags through there, and then the backside of what
Okay.
everything goes to the county line south.
Okay. And You mentioned 30%. Are you talking about 30% of the total, or 30%, or you're seeking 30%
I'm
of
talking
our
10,
43?
10% each.
I understand that, but 30% of the total?
Yes.
Of 30% of our 43 that you're
No.
looking for?
You'd like 30% of what we get.
30%
Yeah,
of
I'm
the
not.
total.
I'm city. This is not a city
Got
meeting. You know, I've tried
Right.
to allocate for that, but this is. I'm asking for 30% of
the-
our total. Yeah.
Of the total? Okay,
Correct.
gotcha. Thank you.
And
Yes.
before the meeting, Dale and I was talking. Dale was talking about turnout gear. That each fire member should have, under these new OSHA rules, 2 sets of turnout gear.
Mm-hmm.
How much are those set?
Roughly $4,000 a piece.
So it'll be 8,000 per.
We are currently compliant with that with one set. You know, if we would have to buy a second set if this law goes through, which that's one of the things you're going to have to do, that's 4,000 times. You know, we might be able to get away with 12 or 15 sets, maybe, our active guys.
But then he's got. how
Oh,
many people?
yeah, they got, they're, how many would you have to fit?
Usually, I mean,
Yeah, Chad.
Everett's gonna be 33 right now.
So in other words, they come down and shut the whole deal down if you didn't have the turnout gear or the equipment. The government would do that.
The OSHA standard, I think the OSHA can come in and they can inspect it anytime they want. Are they? Maybe not. Our problem's gonna be when the insurance steps in. No insurance company is gonna cover us when they say, okay, you're not really following these, because that puts them out on a limb.
Right.
They are already tracking down, and, you know, you can, you know, get with you later, whatever, but risk analysis every single year, and we try to keep them happy because that's who protects us. And if we can't get insured, we cannot be running.
I have a question.
Yes.
This is just a formality hearing right now.
Yes, right,
We can give you 50%, we're making a difference. It
Right.
goes up to the city.
right.
So,
No.
we could recommend it, but we can't.
No.
You're going
no,
to get
no.
43% of this money. Roughly
Right.
43% of this money is 100% exclusively under your control.
Right. You got complete control of.
We've got no control about whether it happens or not.
No.
Right.
And the city's already passed it.
Right.
So it's gonna happen.
It's 57.
And
The city
we'll
will
have
get
control of
57%.
43%.
City
of
is
that
57.
total.
He's asking for us to decide if we can give 30% of our 43%.
No, he thinks 30% of everything.
Well, that'd be up
but-
to the city then.
Well, city and the county.
Well, yeah, my projections here, what I had wrote out, I just went 10 for each, but 10 of the $500,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
I got you.
I also think them figures are a little low. I think we'll get more than that. Again, the tax is through. This vote tonight does nothing with promising us money. It does nothing with passing it. It's already passed. It's just a legal entity. Where this will be allocated is in your budget meetings.
Has the city indicated to you that they're willing to talk to you about this?
I've talked to the city. I've been at every city council meeting. The city is in very dire straits. They're in contract negotiations right now. They have 3 full entities to deal with, and they don't even have any extra money to, you know.
But
The
you are
state
too.
says that they can allocate. They don't have to. They don't have to do anything. County is responsible for the county fire departments, and I've tried. So I'm blue in the face. You know, the city is in just as bad of trouble on their firefighters. I'm actually negotiating with the city right now. I'm a Carnesville Fire Department, and I am negotiating their contract. We're the 4th lowest paid department in this state right now.
Well, if you went under and the other fire departments went under, what's that going to do with the Carnesville Fire Department?
Connersville's going to struggle to get these mandates also.
Yeah,
They're
my
ahead
house
of the
is going
game.
to burn down before anybody shows up. That's what's going to happen.
If we don't get any money, you're right.
And so it would be to the city's vantage point to talk to you and try to work something out.
I've tried. If any of you want to try, that's fine. But they have allegations too. They have things they have to too. When they're the 4th lowest paid fire department in Indiana, they need every dime they can to put towards that. Same way with dispatch. Everybody here can talk about their own agency, but we are in trouble on pay. I mean, right now, Connersville Fire Department, we're training guys, we're losing them. We're a training ground. We train them, they stay 2 years, they go anywhere around us. There's not a fire department around us right now, not to talk about the city, there's not a fire department around us right now that is paid. They're well over what we're paying. So they need every time of that also to try to be compatible. Right now, you know, in any entity or any city, you're an auction. You have to. This new generation aren't happy with staying one place and devoting there. they're jumping, hey, this one's $5,000 more, I'm gonna go over here, or I'm gonna go over here. You're in a bidding war is what you're against. We don't have that. Our volunteers are pretty much in the community, they stay there, we got the same volunteers. There's no pay, so there's no sense jumping around. The city has to be extremely competitive with their pay, and they're in hurts, and so was the police department, so was EMS, so was 911, and they can talk about their own. They're all well under. So to say the city is going to give you any, I don't think you're going to get any there, just because they have their own problems. We are a county department. We protect the county. We are the Connersville City's backup. They are ours, but really this is a county problem.
Chad,
Yes.
didn't you say you had some numbers drafted up that would show how much to give her and how much to give?
I just went through with $500,000 and tried to be what, I cannot set what other departments get. If I had 10% for Bentonville, Everton, Glenwood, that's $150,000 out of the $500,000. I talked to different people. You got dispatch. They have, I think 6 full-time, and like I said, I'll let them talk for themselves. 6 part-time. 30% on them is $150,000. That's going to push them up to where they need to be to keep their people. Kelly is well underpaid. You can check every surrounding county around us. They're a breeding ground too. They train them and they leave. Everything else to me, if you go emergency services, goes to the sheriff's department, and that's a little over 40%. You got EMA in here also that can be, they are emergency services also. So to me, you've got your 3 volunteers, your sheriff's department, your dispatch, and your EMA. Them are your first responders in this county. All our money will go for equipment and updates, not obviously labor or anything like that. Operating costs to try to keep this OSHA off our back. So right now, by the time we get what money we have and we spend it on fuel costs, our insurance is half our cost. Just covering the trucks and our liability, workman's comp. After we get away with all that, there's no money for improvement. We're relying on the public and our community is great on giving money. We rely on them a lot, and we try to set a little bit back for an emergency. Something happens, a truck goes down, whatever. We do a lot of our own maintenance to try to save on that. So, we don't have a $3 million budget. We got no room to wiggle. It's like, well, maybe you can move a little over here. It is what it is. The townships do not have any more money either. So.
I live in the rural. To think that my house would be on fire and a grandbaby in a smoke-filled room, what kind of price you put on that life?
I don't know what you can. I can speak for our department too. It's a good problem and it's a bad problem. We have a lot of retired firemen. We're not getting any new people. I've got 6 guys that live within a mile of Bentonville Station. If the tones drop right now, I'll almost lay money them trucks are out the door in 2 minutes. But it's because they're retired. They're 70 years old. The trucks, they still fighting fire. They're getting the trucks to the scene. We have right now a great response. Them guys aren't going to do this forever. When them guys quit doing it or can't do it, we're in trouble. We got to promote. We got to get new people. And somebody says, "Oh man, I'll join your department. I live on 30th Street." That ain't getting a Bentonville truck out of the station. We need guys close to home, and we're a rural area, so that's hard to do. So that's another thing. Like I said, right now we're awesome on getting them trucks out, but it's coming to the day that it's not going to be so good. And say you live on the other side of Waterloo. That's us. That's a 20-minute drive. I don't care if you're sitting in a fire truck when the call comes in. Tell me somebody else that's closer. We call Everton. They're just as far. Boston, maybe. Or Abington. That's what you got. So we do the best we can, and we run a lot of mutual aid with Wayne County and Henry County, also Rush County, Raleigh. We do a lot of mutual aid with them, Milton, Cambridge.
Does Louisville and Strong have volunteered for part of ours?
Yes, and we trained with them. We've been training with them. We respond up there with them. So we're responding with Strong a lot. Of course, all them departments right through there got interstate, so that's a
And
whole.
you got Cambridge City too.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and Dublin. So we run
Dublin-
mutual aid with all them
Dublin's very good.
departments. So a lot of other people here want to talk. If anybody has any other questions, you can contact me at any time. I'll let them do their thing, so we're not holding up here all night. So I
Thank you, Chad.
Yep.
You guys do amazing jobs.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Someone else who would like to speak next?
I'll go. I'm not bashful. So, are you all familiar with the tax savings from the Indiana Volunteer Firefighters Association? They did a study that shows exactly what each volunteer fire department does as far as saving taxpayer dollars. So you can think of investing this money with the fire departments, and I support them and what they're trying to do, as an actual investment versus what it would cost if they no longer operated and the county still had to provide fire service, right? So it's broken down by townships in the study, and it's on the annex, page 10 and 11, and I'm happy to give this to you guys to look. But combined with all the townships, if the county had to pay that, you're looking at $21 million. That's manpower. That's just replacing the firefighters that we have in the county.
Are you talking volunteer?
Volunteer only.
Okay, volunteer only.
If we had to replace or buy their equipment and keep that going, we're looking at roughly $25 million annually. That's an additional burden that would be placed on Fayette County taxpayers. So to say 30% of this total budget is quite a low number versus what it could be if a volunteer fire department's closed down. So I do support that, and I just wanted to make sure you were aware of that study that they did, and I'm happy to share that with you and even walk you through it. It goes into great detail on exactly what the volunteer fire service does in Indiana. Any questions?
That paper, the paper that you have there, does it have those numbers on it?
It does. I highlighted them and printed them off, but it's the exact same.
Okay.
And I'll leave this, Jeff, if you want.
Yeah,
All right. Thanks.
yeah. Who else would like to speak this evening?
I will.
Go ahead.
Always go after Wade. I support, again, you guys don't have any say in this, so this is just a formality, I guess, but I support the volunteer fire departments getting a cut of this. They deserve it, they need it. They're usually there before we are. So I really support them. I think it's imperative that you guys get with the city council, because we have just as many employees that the city has that are going to be part of this, and try to get a portion of this from them also, because it's one community. I mean, we're talking county and city. We've always done that. County employees have always been paid less than the city employees. So getting the city to take it off the top. That's what I heard in the first meeting. Take the money off the top, give that to the fire departments, because taking $150,000 away from the county employees that's a hit. But if you just take a smaller portion of that, and the city can do something to help out, that would benefit us. May take a little bit away from city employees, but again, we've got I got 50 employees at the sheriff's department, so that's the city police and the fire department, city fire department sort of combined. So I just hope that the pay raises that come from this tax are pretty uniform across everywhere, and I hope that when it comes to those decisions that you guys have to make, the volunteer fire departments get their portion.
Well, if the city had realized how much more work's going to be on their fire department, if they don't help support the volunteer fire department, they might be more willing to listen to you.
Well, maybe.
Are they willing to go clear out the Bentonville, put out a fire, when you've got a fire department that could still be in operation?
Yeah. And that's what we got to, I mean, that's up to you guys to negotiate, I guess.
Zach, did you have a number or percentage in your head that you were hoping that you would get out of this?
Again, if his numbers are correct, 500,000, and I've been hearing between 450 and 600,000, to make us comparable to other counties, Rush County, Franklin County, $8,000 is what county employees need. Kelly needs that. I know the jail needs that. That's going to make us comparable to other counties finally. We finally got close to the city. That's why I hate to see them get a $10,000 raise and the county employees only get 3 or 4, because then we're going to be a training ground for the city again. So if we can make it pretty uniform, and hopefully the city will come to the table and offer up some money to these guys, because they deserve, they do a good job out in the county, and sometimes they come in the city, and they are putting on a lot of events that draw crowds. So hopefully you guys can negotiate with the city and figure something out. But I really support them getting a piece of this, because they need it. They work well with us, all of the agencies. Any questions?
Thank you, Zach.
I'll get it.
Okay.
I'm usually not a shy person either, but I was just listening. I am 911, and I support these guys too. Volunteer fire departments have been around for as long as I can remember. And used to be that, you know, they could do their fundraising and their little meals, and it would like boost up their income for their departments. And with today's economy, that's no longer something, I mean, it helps, but it's not something that they can use to support their department anymore. So I truly support the fire guys too. We work well with everybody. We get along. We dispatch them out. They're in their trucks and going. So we do need them. For 911, for as long as I've been in my position, every year I see the budget number that I give, and in my mind I'm thinking, well, that's not pretty bad. That's not too bad. You know, not knowing what the money that we have. But since we do have this tax, I too, and you're hearing a lot of this, it's almost like we've got the, ultimate candy, and we're all at your door here trying to get that candy. That's the bad part. It tells you that, what it tells me is that it's suffering a long time with no money. And we can't help that. We are where we are, our industry's where we're at, taxes are where they're at, so we understand that. But you can see all the people that are here trying to grasp a little piece of the pie to make things better for the departments. My department, since I've been there 25 years, I have accumulated small raises over the time. The county gives 500. I mean, there's been things that we have some accumulated, but it's not been keeping up with cost of living, I don't believe. It's not been keeping up with the surrounding counties. The surrounding counties are always about 10 above us. They're kind of in a head start. For me, my request would be to try to, compare to the next county over. Rush County is our county that we go with, that mirror images our county. I've lost 3 people to Rush County because simply they hire in $10,000 higher. I mean, you walk in the door, they're already trained here. They don't even have to put any hours in to train, really, just to learn their department maybe, but no hard hours to train. So I too, we're a training ground here.
How much
Again.
are you looking for, Kelly? Per person?
I'm looking for, I've put it in my budget, but I'm looking for 10 across the board for my people, a little bit more for me. Give part-timers some raise. I think that I was talking to Chad earlier too. I think about, the 150 that he's talking, but again, that's a chunk of money. So I guess you'll have to look at my budget and see what you think.
So you're saying 10,000? Is that what you're asking for, just 10,000?
Yeah, there's 5 full-timers, that'd be 10 apiece. The part-timers, the raises are just bringing them up to a solid even dollar. And then myself, I've given a little bit more than 10, simply because, I'm sometimes there 7 days a week. And I realized when I took the job, it was a salaried position. So I'm not trying to take that away from the job position, but I don't get any extra money for 7 days a week.
But you're asking, there's how many full-time?
5.
So there's 50,000.
And then me,
And then you use about, what, 12, 14? What were you asking for? 14, how much raise?
16 extra.
16, so there's 66. And then you've got how many part-time?
Part-time is 6 at 53 cents at 53 cents each. That makes it $15 a piece.
So that's $1,000 a year, right? My math, quick math, roughly.
15 times, yeah.
Roughly. So you're talking 75,000 gets you where you're asking, if my rough math's doing it, right? So 100 gets you a comfortable budget.
It probably does, yeah.
I think that was her, I'm trying,
Okay.
I didn't mean to speak, I think
No,
that
you're
was her
fine.
trying to get her.
I might
think
have-
that might have been Kay's kind of.
Yeah, that was kind of went backwards, but, you know, I don't have a county agency vehicle. They don't pay my gas. I run the roads just like anybody else. I'm 24/7. And that being said, I don't really want a county vehicle. I'm fine with that. It's just that I've been there 25 years and all I've got in my mind is I've just accrued the raises. There's been no real director's pay given to me, so, and two, I'm the lowest one in the surrounding counties. Any questions? And again, I know this is just, you know,
So the $100,000 would compensate your raise too?
probably, yep.
For people that may be wondering why 911 doesn't get kind of left out of it, Jane, correct me if I'm wrong, but just get, so you get your silo here, city share, and then you got state share of funding.
Right.
911.
The
Right.
2 lines of funding.
And we don't have a line in county general for that. We have never been able to create one. And did we do that with the jail, Jane? Did we create a line item in county general?
We don't have a line item for 911.
Right, but for the jail, that we got that money, how did we?
It's its own fund.
Okay. So this, we just gotta just break it up and do some line items. Like if we wanted to do volunteer fire, if we wanted to do 911 to just.
From the public safety tax is going to be its own fund. So yes, within that fund, if we wanted to create a line to make like a donation to the fire departments, that would be a line within that fund.
Okay. And I think that's how you're gonna get the help. Because you've been kind of on an island by yourself where we're not been able to take money and move it.
Right.
One, we don't have the funds.
I'm just going to say one thing because I think there's a misconception. When we did the raise history, 911 has actually gotten more raises than like county general has. So they've not been left out.
No.
I mean, they're far underpaid compared to other counties. But I'm just saying.
I wasn't referring to that.
And Jane,
Well,
don't
I
get
know,
that
but
wrong
sometimes
because
when it's
I
said,
probably said that wrong, but like some of the
Yeah.
raises that we got were 500. They,
Yeah.
you know, the county, I will not dispute, I didn't mean to say that, but that's what I meant. Over the years that I've been there, we have got raises. It's not like we've never got them. It's just that the longevity of the time I've been there, they're just few and far between. Like, you know, it's way far out. Yeah, but we have gotten raises. So yes, I'm not trying to disrespect the county, but it's just really random.
But the raises still aren't comparable to the
Right,
other
right.
counties surrounding.
But they
counties.
give us, like I said, at all times meetings that I've ever attended, it's better, something's better than nothing. I mean, we're not really trying to be, oh, we don't want your dumb money, you know, but I'm just saying that those raises have helped, but they have not picked up and caught up with anybody.
We each year that I've been on council, we've always talked about 911 and the need to try and bolster it up. It's just been hard
Yeah.
with the finances in the county, and we do what we can. And it's,
Yeah, I would really like to create a little fund.
Sorry, but that's the way it is. We can't just go out and bring in $2 or $3 million to meet Rushville's budget. Maybe if we had the farmers that Rushville's got, we'd be able to get that kind of money, but we don't.
Right,
We can't do it. And there's not a volunteer fire department here that would be happy with a $354,000 budget.
Oh, I agree.
Hey, Jane, what about are we going to have to add in EMS on this too?
and it's like public safety.
well, currently you pay EMS out of the commissioner's budget. So I mean, you can put EMS in the public safety. It counts, but.
That was the whole reason why city, to me, didn't want to give, like, say, for instance, if I went to city and said, hey, can you give me some of your public safety tax and then they'll give me some of theirs, come together and make 911 money. And no, because they said EMS is who, they've got their own entities to do. So why would we include EMS? Just a question. I mean, I'm not saying not to.
We pay half of EMS.
We pay half of EMS.
Like the city bills
Okay,
us monthly.
and that's what I had said.
The county pays half the bill for EMS.
Okay.
In my mind,
You reimburse them, correct?
Yes.
So they pay the full amount on
Okay.
public safety tax, is how I understand it, and then you guys reimburse them with the check.
Currently, we split EMS. We give them half the bill.
Right.
There's like 5 things we share with them.
But my personal opinion is that the public safety tax shouldn't be done that way,
Well,
just
public
because
safety
they've got the
is
bigger percentage and,
Yeah, but that's state.
Public
that's
safety is
state
gonna
law.
mean anything under, it's gonna mean any first responder, EMS.
during your regular budget, you could still
Sure.
stay with that, but.
Jail staff, 911, EMA. Now, how the county decides to break it up, when we do budget time, is up to us. And that's where it goes back to Janet saying, public safety tax will be its own item, but we can create subcategories, line items in there and break it up. I hear what you're saying, if EMS started being taken care of, why would you look at that?
I would just look at it because they
We still
also
have-
contribute to 911,
We still have
so.
a difficult time trying to fund 911 with the expenses they throw at us each year.
Mhm.
So that's why we would look at that. Because if we alleviate some of that cost there, that frees up money up to go somewhere else.
Mhm.
It's like a shell game.
Yeah.
Anything else for me?
Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah, somebody else's turn.
All right. Chad Grunning, Everton Fire Department, Fire Chief. Most of you know me. I'm not going to talk figures tonight. I said this last night at the city council meeting, and I want to bring it up again. Every emergency service in this county is a brotherhood, sisterhood, however you want to say it. We're a team. None of us operate alone. It doesn't matter if it's a fire, a car wreck, hazardous material incident, what it may be, we work together. So nobody is stabbing anybody in the back here. We all are in need. On a fire, we all work together. Whether we need Carnesville to come out, they need us to come in. Bentonville, Glenwood comes to Everton, or we go to one of their locations. We all work together. EMS, if it's an EMS run inside the city, Carnesville Fire goes with them on 99% of EMS runs. Same way in the county. If the county ambulance comes out to the county, one of the volunteer fire departments goes and helps them on all the scenes. Now in the county, remember, this is coming out of the volunteer budgets or people's personal budgets on their personal vehicles. Some of the departments have specialty teams that respond as well. Everton has the dive swiftwater rescue team. Glenwood Fire has the Green Bend Rescue here. Everybody has specialties, but I just want everybody to know, if you take one piece of the pie out, whether it be Bentonville, Everton, Glenwood, Carnesville, EMS, Sheriff's Department, City Police, anybody, the other functions can step up, but maybe not at the capacity needed. So everybody's piece of the pie makes this whole thing work. So don't think about everybody being individualized departments. It's a team. We all needed to make everything work, to complete every incident with everybody's health, safety, lives in mind. So look at it as a whole before you start dividing this all out. And then look, if you took one of the other entities out, how do you complete the incident? You really cannot. So it takes everybody together to make this all happen. And that's why we're all here talking about our own different entities, but we're all including everybody in each entity. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I wasn't planning to talk. I don't have facts and figures for you. Lisa Simback, Glenwood Fire Department. I was an EMT for 27 years. I'm going on 30 years on the fire department. My husband was a firefighter for 50 years. I raised kids first. I was also a township trustee for 12 years. So I saw this from both sides of the issue. When I took over as a trustee, I did so when the prior trustee passed away 3 months into his 4th term and got thrown in at the deep end. And I had no idea how a lot of this worked and had to learn on the fly. When it came budget time for me as a trustee, I went to do my budget and I was told I can't do this. My former trustee had appropriated a certain amount of funding for the fire department, but his fire appropriation was less than that. So I did some research on prior records. He was making it up out of the general fund, and the state tax board tells me I'm not allowed to do that. And I said, okay, but according to state regulations, I have to meet my contract price. They said, yes, you do. I said, how do I do that if my appropriation doesn't meet that because I'm not allowed to exceed my appropriation? So, going through this whole process, I learned quite a bit of how this works. So the next year, in order to get the appropriation up and not exceed my tax limit increase that I was allowed, I had to go before the State Tax Appeals Board. And I was told by the people on the State Appeals Board that when the current tax structure was set up, they did not allow for the increases in equipment and training and things that would be needed today and the increases allowed for taxes for fire departments. I also found out real quickly, because for several years I was also the treasurer of our fire department, at that specific time, with the exception of $2,000, every penny we got, every penny from our contracts, and we covered 3 full townships, parts of 4 others, part in Fayette County, part in Rush County. Every dime we got paid our insurance bill. Our insurance bill. That did not replace turnout gear, equipment. 1 tire on a truck mounted balance $500 for 1 tire. We were raising our operating budget, hopefully, each year. Our fundraisers are obviously volunteer. People come, donate money. That is not a required thing on their part. I was at a fire where our guys had been there for hours, exhausted, in the heat, trying to keep not just the house from burning, but the buildings next to it from burning, ferrying water miles from the station to fight the fire. And some idiot on the fire scene, I don't know who it was, and it's probably a good thing I didn't, turns around and says, you know, volunteer fire departments ought to be eliminated. If we had paid departments, this wouldn't happen. I counted to 20 because 10 wasn't long enough, and I said, what do you mean this wouldn't happen? He said, it took them too long to get here. I said, do you realize these people walked away from their day job, their homes? Some of them worked nights, and they got up in the middle of their sleep to come down here, and they had to drive to the station, pick up their equipment, and drive all the way down here to get here. Well, they should have been here faster. And he said a professional department wouldn't have that problem. I said, no, we might have had 10 minutes off our response time, maybe, because I knew I had tracked the records for the fire department, and from dispatch time to the time the trucks pulled out, our average was somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes. That's not bad for a rural fire department at all. Not at all. On top of which, he's talking about how we should have paid departments out in the county. Does anyone in this room, anyone, have a clue what it would cost to have people sitting on that station until they're needed, paying salaries and benefits and so forth and insurance on them? The Indiana Township Association, thank you God, did studies. Several universities have done studies on what volunteer fire departments save taxpayers every year. On top of which, everybody says, well, we kind of know how this works. But no, you don't. My husband and I have walked out on family dinners. Christmas Day, middle of the night. We had one night in my college comp class when I went back to school for a degree. I wrote a paper about it as a basically recovery thing. It was a required narrative from my English class. We had 5 runs in one night. 2 of our patients died. Do you know what a toll that takes? And you're doing this because you care about your community? State regulations require that volunteer fire departments get a clothing allowance. Almost every department that I've talked to, and by the way, not just in this county, but in counties around us, don't take it. There's not enough money in the budget to give your people a clothing allowance. We pay for our own clothing. I'm a first-class firefighter. I have taken 3 basic EMT classes required awareness training for hazmat ops. As a firefighter, I have taken 3 operations level classes to the total of 96 hours training in that. I have had 3 Farm medic classes, which is an extrication class specific to farm equipment because normal extrication for auto accidents does not work on farm equipment. It's a whole different ballgame. I've had 2 emergency vehicle operations classes. I have paid for all my training and my uniforms out of my own pocket. Most of our firefighters do. You get in a car to go, or your private vehicle to go on a run, that's gas out of your pocket. There are some fire departments in the state that give their fire departments or their firefighters a per diem based on how many runs they make to help offset the cost of gas. But most of the volunteer departments don't do that. And active in politics and active in other organizations that I've been active in, I've talked to people from all over the state about this issue. The state fire marshal came down to honor my husband just recently for 50 years as a firefighter, and he talked about the cost to the personal firefighter. And my husband has worked 2 jobs on top of being a volunteer firefighter, which is self-employed. This costs us out of our own pocket to do this because we care about the community. And then we have to go and we have to maintain a lot of our own equipment because we can't afford to just ship it off for repair. And then on top of that, we're having to donate our personal time away from our families and sometimes our jobs as a self-employed person in order to raise money to keep the doors open. This is not about greedy pockets. When I was the treasurer, we were within a few years of closing the doors on the Glenwood Fire Department if we couldn't turn some things around. And as a trustee, I managed to turn that around by a few $1,000s. A few $1,000s. You know what it takes to run your home. You have no clue what it takes to run a fire department. You really don't. And so this is seriously needed. This is seriously needed. It's not a want. It's not because we want fancy equipment. I don't know about other departments in this room, but I know for a fact that Glenwood Fire Department only has some of what we have because we've been blessed to get some grants. The only reason we've got some of what we've got. Because we couldn't have paid for it out of our budget. It's seriously needed. It's not a want, it's a need. And that's all I've got to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Jane, do you know exactly how much we're going to get from the public safety tax yet?
The guess.
Next January.
I'm sorry?
It won't be till
No, it's not.
next January.
It start,
Yeah, but
paperwork
the-
every October 1st to start.
Right.
Right.
It's looking like right a little touch above $500,000.
Yeah,
It will be the county's share.
maybe it's a guesstimate.
That's I don't want anybody to like, if that's not accurate, but that's to give you a ballpark. That seems like at a rough estimate.
We're over a year away from seeing it.
Well, they'll start withholding it from people's paychecks in October, and we should start receiving it in January.
It'll be available for next year's budget.
Yeah.
Percentage of it.
Our share, we should start.
It's not going to $500,000 in January if you want to be collecting it for 3 months.
No, that'll be what we would get over the course of the year.
Yes,
We'll
that's what I'm
get
talking
so
about.
much per month.
It's going to be October next year before we see the full amount. Because that's when they're going to start collecting it, in October, right? We won't know until a year's passed how much we get.
It starts in October,
No.
like it did in the jail tax.
You'll have exact figures in October.
Right. The first year will be a little bit more because it starts in October. After that, it will probably, the jail lid has gone up a titch each year, is it not, Gene?
I'm sorry?
Has the jail lid gone up a little bit each year?
Yes.
And that'll be probably the same thing that with public safety tax.
I mean, like special, like the public safety is the same percentage as our special edit, and it went down in '22 because of COVID, but every other year it's gone up some. So like this year, the special edit is going to bring in 1.157 million. So if you take that number, assuming it stays the same, next year you take our share and the city share, we would get roughly 500,000.
So we can budget off of that, Bob.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody on council that opposed. It's just a matter of how we're going to divide it. I think that's where we're at as far as who's going to get what.
How are we gonna divide the pie?
Right. When the pie's not big enough.
need to.
Yeah. Too many feathers on it.
Good evening, Scott Jones. I'm the fire chief of the Connersville Fire Department. I'm here to show my support for, every department in this room to get a portion of the county share of the public safety tax. I know the city, I've sat in several budget meetings already, specifically for my department, and the city desperately needs every single dime that it's going to get. And that's not going to get us really where we need to be as far as what the departments are asking for. So that being said, I support everybody in here. I do not support giving anybody anything off the top because, like I said, the city needs every dime they can get. We've been discussing this tax for months now. I know that's, my guys are bargaining right now. And like I said, the city needs every dime. I support the volunteer fire departments, fully getting what they're asking for. I've had several discussions with them, and from what I'm getting, the whole reason that they approached the city council for that allowable money off the top is because they're afraid they're not going to get any from you guys. So I think that's a serious discussion that needs to be had.
We had a motion that we were going to give at least 5%. They hoping that the city would do likewise too, but the city didn't do that. And so we have a motion in place already to do that.
Right.
We're not going to forget the volunteer firefighters.
Well, and that's great. Like I said, I haven't attended your meetings, so I'm not sure what you guys have discussed up until now. But I support, and for them to not have gotten any money up through now, I don't know. I mean, they should be getting money already. But the public safety tax is not a cure-all. It's not going to heal everything. It's just going to get us maybe a little bit closer to where we need to be. Just like Mr. Ripberger said earlier, he made some comments on my department because he's bargaining right now. He sees the problems we're having. We hire guys, they come in and train, and then guess what? The community to the left and to the right and to the north, they all advertise, for a lot more pay. And it's, these guys come in and we train them, and why would they not, accept, our guys, with open arms? They don't have to train them. They come up there fully trained.
I think everybody on council agrees with everybody tonight.
Yeah.
Our problem is state code is not written where it needs to be.
Right.
It,
There's a lot of it that isn't.
it needs to, and I said it when I was at a state meeting the other day, I said, you guys need to change this because you're killing counties like us.
Right.
The state code limits what we can do, how we can move money. I wish there wasn't, but we definitely, we're on your side, so we just
Right.
need to figure out how we're going to divvy it up.
Well, like I said, we
Underpaid, Scott.
do what? I'm sorry.
On average, how much are your guys underpaid?
Newcastle's pension base just went up to about $18,000 more than ours. Greensburg's is probably close to being in line with that.
I could leave here, go to Newcastle and get $18,000 more I retire right now.
Look how much more businesses those towns have than we do. Our revenue stream is teeny tiny.
Right, and we get
Right,
that.
yeah.
And it's like I've said in every meeting that we've had, I said, we just had a guy leave for Fishers. I said, we're not trying to be a Fishers or a Carmel, we're just trying to be more competitive Connersville. And if we can be more competitive, we're going to start retaining our people.
Right.
We're not saying, we're not coming, obviously not to your board, but I'm not going to them, yelling, saying we need to be right there with them. I'm just saying if we can be more comparable and competitive, then we're going to retain our guys. They're not going to leave if it's a smaller difference. But like I said, that's a whole other conversation.
Like I
But
said, younger guys, they got families to support, and they've got, you can't blame them for doing what they have to do. But like you said, they can make it closer, so they can offset by saying, well, what are you going to spend in gas going to there and back? Does it offset it? Is it the same to keep them here?
right.
It gives you a fighting chance at least.
But as I said before, when actually we had the first joint meeting, was when I was made aware of this exception. I think Jane brought it up that allowed for some of it to be taken off. And I'm just going to assume that was probably written into law because there's probably a lot of places that if they didn't have that, they wouldn't get anything. That being said, when we had that discussion, I sit in the bargaining meetings too. I said there's no possible way we can give up anything else. and try to get where we're trying to get. And that's between Connersville Fire Department, Police Department, EMS, you know, the way they're wanting to try to distribute this money to get somewhere close to where we need to be. And like I said, that's not really, I personally don't think that's going to get us where we need to be. So trying to give money off the top, I don't, you know, and I told City Council last night, I really don't support that. I don't think it's right. Personally, I wouldn't ask for money for my department off the top because I don't feel that it's fair to everyone else. These departments are county departments, so therefore I feel like, you know, you guys should be the ones in charge of giving them a little bit of the pie. And, you know, I fully support, you know, everything that they're asking for. You know, they do a lot. We do work together really well. You know, they call us when they need us. We call them when we need them. Dispatch, you know, I hound on dispatch all the time. I've contacted a few of you on dispatch. Every emergency responder in this county is going to tell you that they're severely underpaid and severely overworked, short-staffed. Days when, you know, people call in, they can't get nobody to replace them. So we may have one dispatcher down there. You know what it's like. You sat in there. You know, there's a lot of, you know, when they make a mistake, we're all in trouble. So you guys need to pay a little bit more attention and give a little bit more respect to the dispatch center, I think, too.
Well, all we have to worry about is keeping the courthouse open, the sheriff's department going, starting a new jail. I mean, you're not the only one behind the 8 ball here, okay?
I understand.
And we have a limited budget to work with, and we want to give everybody everything they want. You can't do it.
I'm not saying you have to give everything everybody wants. I mean, these guys are going in there bargaining, asking them for the moon, but they're not going to get that. All I'm asking you guys to do is to be fair.
Every year we reach the same thing right here, and we had to sit in 4 or 5 days of meetings just trying to figure out how to meet the budget.
Well, we've been discussing this public safety tax now for how long? Several months.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it goes back to 2015.
Yeah, I mean, the first conversation I had with the mayor has been well over a year ago, or longer than that, you know, about, you know, trying to implement this because I felt like we needed it. So we've had estimates for several months, but none of you had sat down and had, you know, sat down and come up with figures on how you might disperse some of that money.
We can't project.
When I brought it up in 2015.
Well, you're going to be collecting, like they said, they're going to be collecting it in October. So,
right. So we talked about the 2015, and then Chad said no, you don't want to increase taxes. Diana Phillips said no because county council got health insurance that they wouldn't support it. That had nothing to do with first responders. Health insurance has zero to do with it. So this could have been in place by 2015 and taken care of and split up. But, you know, there's a city that controlled the purse strings side. That's why we had to go for the jail lid. That's the only reason we had to do that. Because we had to help ourselves. Because the city said no. And that, to me, is disturbing. We're bringing it up almost 10 years later, and now all of a sudden it's a great idea. It was brought up in 2015.
well, obviously that's something I'm not going to be able to comment on because I'm not really
So we've
familiar
not
with
been
it.
doing nothing, right, Mike?
Well, we reached out to the city to try and get this done, but because the population is on their side, they control it. Just like, you know, Monday night it passed. Okay, now we're just basically rubber stamping it, saying, yeah, you know, it doesn't matter. We all 7 of us say no. It still goes through.
Right, I understand that.
We just have to figure out how we're going to split that pipe, like Kay was saying. How are we going to divide that pipe? Who gets this piece? Who gets that piece? And I don't think it's been out of disrespect, and I want to be able to do them. It goes back to how do we fund it? That's the biggest problem. Is how do we fund that? The highway department is funding totally different than, you know, everything else. And the general general account funds a lot of county general funds a lot of other things. You know, sheriff department has certain funds that go to them.
Right.
And so we've got to dip into these silos, and you know, we can't cross-contaminate the grain, so to speak. And they only have 2 silos, and they don't get full enough to be able to distribute them. You're right. If they're the backbone, it starts with Title 1. They're the backbone. And if they get it wrong because somebody's new, because they got to get turnover, that puts somebody's life at risk potentially in the city or the county because they're new training and you know, I've been sent to one for a 10-0 where it was 500 towards Liberty off 44, and it was 400. It's a mile difference. Now, there'd been a structure fire, that'd been a different thing, but 10-0 is not a big deal. So, you know, it doesn't hurt as much. So I hear you. I think we all do, every one of us do.
What I'm saying, I guess, is I hope from this point forward, they get a little bit more attention.
I hope
Because,
so too.
you know, now you're gonna have some additional funds, you know, to come in to help, you know, to help them and help everybody else in this room. So, I mean, obviously, none of those funds are gonna affect me. I'm just here to show my support, so,
Appreciate it.
yeah.
Thank you, Scott.
Hello, Clint Brown. I'm with the Connersville Police Department. I echo what Scott said. The city employees are struggling right now. They're fighting for every penny they can get. I'm in a unique position because I was with the Sheriff's Department prior to going to the city, and I left because the day that I left and went to the city, I made $14,000 more a year. That was a decision I had to make for my family at the time. Had the pay been market to what I was offered there, I never would have left the Sheriff's Department. I love that job. I think that something historically that we've seen in this county is a kind of a turn away from emergency services in the way of funding. I'm not saying you guys are responsible for that. I'm talking over the last 15 to 20 years that I've been in emergency services. We always seem to be playing catch up on equipment and benefits, things like that. Right now, the market for municipal employees is what it is. There's nothing we can do to control that. The Sheriff's Department went through it. You lost 5 of us, I think. They would send us to the academy, train us, and then we were going to make $14,000, $15,000 more a year. We lost somebody, a captain paid from our department that went to Greenfield, which I understand their economic growth and tax revenues much higher, but he went in as a beginning patrolman here and made $21,000 more a year. That's not your guys' issue, but the market is what it is, and that is your guys' issue. With these funds coming available, I would encourage you to do what past councils and administrations have failed to do, and that is to adequately equip and fund response departments, because it is absolutely the foundation. When people look at moving to this community, bringing business to this community, they want to know they're protected. They want to know if their family has a house fire, like you said, somebody's coming in to get their kid, EMS is going to provide the care needed for them. If you don't have those 3 pillars in a community, you can't expect growth. So I fully endorse what the volunteer fire departments do. I've worked with a lot of those guys for a lot of years, have a lot of respect for them. To do the amount of work that they do, on top of raising the money to be able to do it, is something that needs to be applauded. So I support them. I think I agree with Scott. I think the city's portion is the city's to deal with the city departments and county is the county's. I'm not going to advocate that career police officers and career firefighters should lose money that they've worked and established over a period of time they've worked for their career. But I do think that these guys deserve more attention, as well as dispatch. Unique perspective there, worked in dispatch as well. I know the stress that comes with that job, especially when you're understaffed, you're working 60 hours a week. I see Kelly in there at different times throughout the week. If I go into my office at 10, she might be working dispatch. So I know she's stressed out. I know that she's had a revolving door too, trying to keep employees. I would just encourage you and give my voice of support that we properly fund the emergency departments in this county. So, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Clint. Does anyone else have anything that they would like to say?
Uh-oh. I'll be back.
Hello, everybody. As most of you are aware, I'm the Veteran Service Officer, also volunteer with EMA, work with all the ladies and gentlemen here, and thank you for saving my life. Because 7 weeks ago, I had a stroke. 3 of them. So, 2 weeks ago, had heart surgery. My office is open. Back open 4 days a week. I understand how budgeting works. I dealt with it while I was in the military. on a global scale, but I understand the stress and strain that you guys are up against, and understand that each person needs and wants their part. Patience and due diligence and understanding how to get every bit of it out there so that way you guys have a better understanding. That's our responsibility. I think they're doing it, but I just wanted to say I'm glad to be back. And it was thanks to a lot of people in this room that I recognize their faces, that they were the ones standing over me that day. It is astronomical, same way the jobs that you guys do. We all volunteer for this. And it takes somebody to sacrifice things of themselves. It's not about the money. I don't do my job because of the money. I do my job because it's the right thing to do for the veterans of this community. Good, bad, and indifferent. So that is a dying thing, people, is people will not sacrifice themselves without something on the other side of it in their pockets or that benefits them. The days of how we all were grown up or taught how to grow up and be professionals and be adults, that's over. They're not taught that anymore. So, but it is important. What's happening here is everybody is struggling. This is a dying community from where it once was. When I left here 35 years ago, it is nothing compared to what it is today. Factories, business, that spoke is broken. Bringing in business, things like that, as you guys know, it's almost impossible sometimes. But the infrastructure that we have, we still have to keep it rolling. So I just want to say I am back. Veteran Services is still rolling. And it's going to continue that way as long as I'm still breathing. And it was thanks to you guys that did that. So you guys have any questions for me?
Glad you're back.
Me too. If somebody can make the steps a little shorter, because it's a little hard walking up steps. But no, it was, but Mr. Munson was hanging over me, telling me we'll get you there. So, and they did. So, but thank you guys for, no, seriously, I mean, there's other people in this room that were there that day. And, but I mean, if it wasn't for them, I may not have. And the last thing we need is another county or city employee that doesn't come to work the next day. We've already had too much loss as it is. So, but thank you.
Thank you, Ron, and we're glad you're back.
Yes, sir.
Is there anyone else who would have anything that they would like to say?
One thing I want to add that has not been brought up here, that I think the community needs to understand, and members of the council that don't already, that these first responders, the things that they see, hear, smell, envision, they can't take it out of their lives. They see some horrific things. They deal with some horrific things. They can't share it with wives, loved ones. They can share it with themselves because they understand. You know, when there's a really stressful situation, I'll have a debrief with somebody to help them with what they've dealt with. But those things will always live within them. And brings it to my attention when Ron was up there talking as a veteran, the PTSD and so forth that these guys deal with. And again, they're volunteers. They're getting training, they're volunteering their time to do these things. They're not getting paid, reimbursed. And Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the city firefighters do get paid when they get their training, correct?
I'm sorry?
City firefighters do get paid while they're training?
Not off duty.
Okay. I bet we're getting the same training as the city fire department, it's supposed to be. And so you gotta take it into account that they do a lot for this community and really have never asked for anything. I mean, we've given them $5,000 each department over the last so many years for basically tree removal. And never given, and I've always wondered why we didn't do the county fire, but again, you look at our budget, you can understand why. So I just wanted to add that out, throw it out there that there's other things to factor in besides some of the obvious things that we see, it's nothing that they have to deal with on a daily basis.
Does anyone else have anything they would like to comment on? Ask a question about? Okay.
Need a motion to close the public hearing.
Okay, so I want to make a motion, or someone make a motion to close the public hearing. Mike?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you, gentlemen, ladies and
so
gentlemen.
moved, yes, thank you so
Thanks for
much.
listening to everything that we said.
Thank you.
We haven't voted on
Do
We haven't
you-
to approve the tax, we haven't voted on that.
That's down in new business, yeah. Okay, now, has everyone had the opportunity to see the minutes of our June 4th meeting? If so, we need to make a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
Okay, then all in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Is there any mail, Mr. Westland?
I don't have any mail and I don't have anything for you.
Okay. Okay. Alrighty. And committee reports.
Councilman Cranfield, I'd like to, for the budget committee to get together next week about 4:30 here, if at all possible. Councilman Winton, Councilwoman Page, can you make it?
What day?
July 9th, Tuesday at 4:30. I've asked Auditor Downer to join us. She said she could.
Should be able to.
Okay. Councilwoman Payton, can you make it?
Yeah, with that new state legislation, any subcommittee like this has to be publicized.
Through your levels.
Yeah, they changed it.
No.
Jeff?
Maybe it starts July 1, but when I went to the state call meeting, they said from now on, it's like a subcommittee, like budget or finance or payroll. 2 or more of those people in that committee have a meeting, it has to be publicized, just like with this.
Okay. All right. Well, is it, what, 10 days? 10 calendar days?
Let's check into it first.
Yeah, let's check into it.
Okay. Jeff, can you check into it and let us know?
Absolutely.
Thank you. So we'll get together as soon as we can, okay?
Yeah.
Thanks for
Roger.
bringing that up, Kat.
Are there any other reports from anyone? Sharon, once I collect all my notes together, since I went to the state call meeting on the 22nd of June, I'll send out all the information they give me at the state called council meeting. Okay. I'll email to everybody. All right. Yeah. And commissioners, do you have anything that you would like to report, Dale?
Sharon, due to the length of your meeting tonight, I can forego giving any kind of report tonight. Didn't have anything really important to talk about anyhow.
The only thing we need to know, Dale, did you spend any money today?
Okay, thank you, Dale.
Real quick, Councilman Bevington, your question was, I just want to make sure I understand your question,
Yeah.
because I can answer it right now.
Yeah.
There's a question about whether we have to give notice for you three to meet.
Right.
Typically, you're not a quorum, so you wouldn't have to give notice.
Right.
It's not a quorum meeting.
Right.
But because it is a budget committee, we can give notice, but it only requires 48-hour notice. You don't have to have it
48
published,
hours.
and it's only got to be given essentially notification to the newspaper. You don't have to have it published in the newspaper. So it's not 48 hours. Make sure the paper is published at 48 hours in advance. It's just you have to give the notice 48 hours. So your meeting next week would have 0 issues.
Okay. All right. So plan on July 9th and we'll get it publicized. Okay? Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Okay, and we're going to move on to transfers. We have an additional appropriation to County General Fund 1,000, Coroner account 10103 for the Director of $10,000.
Motion to approve.
someone like to second that?
I'll second it.
Okay, and then all in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
After tax, Jane, what was that for?
Last meeting when you voted to pay Kathy.
Okay, thank you.
For the interim. Okay, then another additional appropriation to local roads and street fund 1169, account 30860, grant match for $357,000.
You want to take both of them together?
No, because they're two separate.
Oh, yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
That's the match for our community crossings grant this year. We've got 2 different ones.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. And then an additional appropriation to Motor Vehicle Highway Fund 1173, account 30860, grant match for $169,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you. We don't have any 144s, and there's no old business. So the new business would be the proposed ordinance 2024-05 lit modification to add public safety tax.
Motion to approve 2020 ordinance, proposed ordinance 2024-05 lit modification, add public safety tax.
Second.
Second, and then all in favor?
Aye.
So moved. What?
Can we have a roll call on that one?
Yes. Roll call.
Okay, Councilman Winter,
Yes.
Riker Payton,
Yes.
Patterson.
And just to add
Yes.
to that, that's so that the public knows, this was already approved by the city, we couldn't stop it regardless, but I'm still voting yes.
Okay. Councilman Wolf,
The reason I'm voting yes is because VOSHA can shut it down. I don't want it shut down. We need our volunteer firemen. I know taxpayers are struggling, but we can't do without them. I'm voting yes.
Bennington,
As I told the volunteer firefighters here tonight, I understand that this is a legal technicality that we have to have this vote, so it doesn't matter. But I'm going to vote no, though I've already expressed to them my support for doing something for the volunteer fire departments once the money gets here.
Stewart,
You know, I'm going to vote yes for it. However, my mind's racing. There are other solutions we could have to help these volunteer fire departments because I think it's very important to keep them going, and I would just like to get some discussion going and eventually someplace to where we can look at funding them without taking out of our budgets to do so. I'm voting yes.
Grantham.
Yes.
Okay.
I ask one question. I hear candidates all the time say there's other solutions. What are the other solutions, other than just saying the fact, other solutions? What other solutions do you have in mind?
I'll be happy to talk to you that, Mike, but I don't think I want to talk about it right now. We'll discuss it.
I say we talk about it right now.
I'm sorry. Can you You
I
sign
think
here.
everybody here would like to have that conversation.
And then everybody else would too. All right, so that concludes our meeting for this evening, July 2nd, 2024, of the Fayette County Council. Would someone make a motion to adjourn this meeting, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Okay, I'm sorry. Who made that?